These faded films are from a pretty important day in Tulsa broadcasting history. The groundbreaking at 37th and Peoria for the new studios for KVOO radio and TV. The year was 1956. TV was in its infancy, so putting a modern studio in Brookside was a big deal. Wealthy oil man and KVOO owner Bill Skelly, in the hat, took part in the ceremonies, along with his son-in-law Harold Stewart, who would run the TV station, and Harold's children. When the handsome studios were finished, there was a dedication carried live.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the dedication ceremonies of Broadcast Center, the new and beautiful home of KVOO radio and KVOO television. The new Broadcast Center is now officially open.
KVOO-TV later became KJRH and still broadcast there from 37th and Peoria.
In the Southeastern Conference, Louisiana State.
One of the early sportscasters at KVOO Channel 2, Len Morton, dug out some of his films of his reporting. Back then, Major League Baseball teams often played exhibitions in Tulsa, and Len got to interview big league players who would ultimately become legends of the game.
And I think that if I get to play 12 or 14 more years, that someday I'm going to break Babe Ruth's record.
Hank, you go into very few slumps, I know that, but occasionally I guess you do have a few off days that you feel might be a slump. But what do you do to come out of it?
Well, I have my slumps, but the only thing I would say is the only way you can come out of a slump is just to stay in there and keep swinging and do the best you can.
Here's another big moment in Tulsa TV history. This footage shows the Channel 6 TV tower being hoisted to the top of the NBT building, which is now called the 320 South Boston building. Back then, it was the city's tallest structure, so putting a TV tower up there would help transmit the Channel 6 signal to homes across the region. One of the popular shows that KOTV was putting out in the 1960s was Dance Party. Teenagers would pile into KOTV's downtown studios on Saturday to move and groove on live TV. It was a local version of American Bandstand. Musicians I.J. Ganem and Jamie Oldecker had a band that often appeared on Dance Party. There were several different hosts of the show, including KAKC disc jockey Lee Bailey. Another of KOTV's popular shows involved the duo of Lee Woodward and his talking puppet, King Lionel. They had an afternoon program in the late 1950s and early 60s.
And this is right in the Bowman Acres Shopping Center, so all you kids and grown-ups that need haircuts will come on in here. It's real cool, and they got sharp scissors, right, Lionel?
Yeah, they're sharp. A little off the neck, too, if you will.
Yeah. Say, Lionel, do you think you need a shave?
A shave? I need a shave? Huh?
Later, when Lee became the Channel 6 weatherman, Lionel would appear with him to make wisecracks. The pair also made all sorts of public appearances around town.
I suspect that St. Nicholas may pay a call to you before the night is over.
Really? You couldn't kid an old lion, would you?
I wouldn't kid you at all, King. You have to hope for that, see? It's the night before Christmas.
Oh, that's right.
Over at KTUL in the same era, the Mr. Zing and Tuffy show was a hit with kids. Mr. Zing, a wacky zookeeper, was played by John Chick. His slap-happy sidekicks were Tuffy the Tiger and Shaggy Dog.
These two fellows help me out, not only in action, but also they like to help me out with little morals like don't hit each other and don't eat with your fingers, be kind at all times.
There was also a talking tree called Leafy Bark. This was a live afternoon show that kids raced home from school to watch. And the real lucky ones got to be part of the studio audience.
We try our very best to make sure that no one is ever mean to anyone else on this program.
Mr. Zing and Tuffy went off the air in 1969, But the show lives, sort of, on movie film and in the hearts of all those kids who grew up with it. We happened to come across an old KTUL promotional film that shows some of the inner workings of the TV station, including John Chick doing a commercial for Quick Trip's frozen drink, the Coolie. Also on the film, the station's main anchors describe what they do.
We have a great time telling you about civic groups. And as a matter of fact, we have Club Day every so often where we invite organizations in town to come up and you meet their members and learn about the fine things they're doing to make our city grow better. And of course, we have very personal interviews with some interesting people. As a matter of fact, you have one lined up for today, haven't you, Wirt?
That's right, Betty. One of our most popular features every day is the now very famous In the Home interview, where we take our camera crew in the home of one of the personalities in the Channel 8 viewing area.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jack Morris, and we hold forth on this set nightly at 10 o'clock with international, national, and local and regional news. We are subscribers to Associated Press, United Press Facsimile, and DEF, the daily electronic feed, which comes from our network and which feeds us the top film stories on a national and international basis.
We're standing in front of our brand new weather set. Up here, the first thing we do is a long-range weather, which gives people an idea of the weather over the next 30-day period in northeastern Oklahoma. Then we cover the weather over the entire United States, the highs, the lows, precipitation, temperatures around the Midwest, and the movements of the fronts and why they're doing what they're doing. Then we have the state of Oklahoma, very detailed with the location of the frontal systems, the temperature situation in the cities around the state, the winds, the wind speeds, the weather around the lakes, about everything that anybody would want to know in the state that plans to be doing any traveling.
Well, good evening. We try to cover everything in the world of sports here on Channel 8. We like to have people know in this area, in our viewing area, that whenever anything goes on in the world of sports, that they can see it or hear about it on Channel 8, and we prefer to have them see it. Fortunately, we have a great sports-minded staff.
Lee Woodward loaned us some of his home movies taken at the KOTV studios. Candid, behind-the-scenes shots of on-air people. The films are really nice to see because these guys were legends in the golden era of Tulsa TV. Anchorman Bill Pitcock, weatherman Lee Woodward again, sportscaster Mac Krieger. We also dug up some clips of KOTV news reports from the 1960s, and it's really interesting to see what was making news back then and how they covered it.
This is the giant Swiss Sky Ride. Here 85 feet above the Tulsa State Fairgrounds. The Swiss Sky Ride was built entirely in Switzerland and shipped over to the United States and reassembled here.
This is Mr. Brewster of Brewster's Toy Shop down at 10th and Peoria, one of the chief suppliers of toys. What do you think makes children want noisy toys like these?
Well, you ever see a child playing? They're always hollering or bang bang or shoot shoot or doing something. It's just natural with a child to want a lot of noise, it seems like.
Well, if you're house hunting in Tulsa, you may want to consider this address, 2101 South Madison Avenue. Built in the early 20s by the late Tulsa oil multimillionaire W.G. Skelly. It's for sale now for only $80,000, but it does contain at least 25 rooms, including 8 bedrooms and about a half a dozen baths.
Well, this is the location near 25th and Harvard, where delays and more delays have brought about